Sorry ass DJ.
Hey everybody, how you doing out there? And welcome back to the Ranking the Victims' Deaths from the Halloween franchise. I'm on Halloween Resurrection, which is the final movie of the original timeline before we get to our remakes and our requels here. So when it comes to the kills in this movie here, I will say that most of them are definitely very weak. 2 thumbs down for sure on here. I would say my number one is definitely a good one. It might be kind of a surprise to people. I don't know. I guess we'll see once we get to it and see in the comment section what people think about it. And somewhat of my number 2, but the rest of them I don't care about. We got 10 to talk about here. I would definitely be kind of curious what you think about the 10 deaths and how would you rank them from worst to best, or give me your best. Give me your worst, give me a comment down below, and we shall discuss it there. Let's get ourselves started. Number 10 is going to be a character named Jenna. So before we actually get to Jenna here, we actually have 3 characters in the living room that they see Michael Myers and they start beating him up, and it actually turns out that it was actually Busta Rhymes' character. So I'm not going to get into the whole conversation with that, of course, here, but he pretty much says, look, don't fuck this up for me, for Nora, or even for you guys here, because you guys could get some extra money after all this reality show stuff is actually done there. He puts on the Michael Myers mask and he runs away from them, and they all start talking, and they actually go from the living room into the hallway here, and it looked like at least 2 of them, if not all 3 of them, were about to walk out the front door, walk out of this show here. You hear Jenna's voice. Well, actually, you hear her screaming from the top of the steps there, and they're thinking, boy, she must be really trying to go for an Academy Award or whatever exactly the character said there. And you get the real Michael Myers that comes out of this door here, and I think the final girl says something like, yeah, we know it's really you, Busta Rhymes' character. Michael Myers, with his kitchen knife, swings it and chops off Jenna's head, and it rolls down the steps there. Now, there's 2 things I'm not a big fan of. First off, that looked fake as hell. The second thing is, for anybody who might not know this about me, is I do not care for head chopping. I used to. In the 80s it worked, in some of the 90s, but then all of a sudden, even when this movie came out in 2002, let alone now in 2025, I'm just like, I just don't really care that much for it there. Number 9 is going to be a character named Franklin. So you got Franklin and Willie, and this is at the beginning of the movie here. I think Franklin's the first one to actually get it. They're both security guards at this mental institution, and they thought that there was this one inmate who doesn't want to escape, but he just wants to be out of his cell, just walking around, so they thought it was him. They didn't realize it was the real Michael Myers. Willie ends up stopping at a vending machine, telling the other guy, I missed dinner. And Franklin's like, well, hurry up. So you got Willie who's getting his food there. He's some kind of like donut or whatever. And you hear a scream from Franklin. So I think he drops the food, gets his flashlight, goes into the laundromat where he went, where Michael Myers was. And he's like, has the flashlight, doesn't know what's going on. He hears the dryer go, and he's like, boy, that sounds really odd. So he opens it up, and he moves a little bit of a sheet, and they show not the entire thing, but mostly like his eyes and a little bit of his forehead of Franklin's decapitated head in there. Now, I will admit that was kind of cool there, but again, it's still at the bottom here, and you get Willie who actually trips over this guy's body, and you see the CGI blood. We'll get to Willie here in a little bit on how he actually gets it here. Number 8 is going to be a character named Nora. This is Tyra Banks' character, and you get the main character who actually is like in like this little shed area where it actually turns out where she was watching all the cameras from the people, because they were wearing cameras on the on their air. So the thing is that our final girl sees blood, and she's looking at it on her hand. She looks up, and there's Nora just hanging there on the ceiling there. I will admit I kind of like the camera angle of that there, but other than that, I didn't really care that much for the death. Number 7 is going to be Laurie Strode. That's right. Michael Myers finally gets a chance to kill his sister in this movie here. So after Michael Myers is chasing down his sister, they both end up on the roof of this mental hospital, and she actually set a trap for him. He ended up putting his foot by this rope and flips him up in the air. She's about to actually cut the rope, and she does a little bit there, and then Michael Myers kind of does something like this here. So she walks over, as stupid as Laurie shouldn't be, and goes over and tries to grab the mask there. Michael Myers grabs her. She's trying to swing and hit him in the stomach area. Doesn't work. The rope starts breaking. They both flip over, and Michael Myers is just like hanging on the wall here while she's like, trying to hang on the best way she can. The knife goes right in her back there, and then she kisses him, says, "I'll see you in hell." She falls, and she just has that slow motion fall. I do kind of enjoy the slow motion fall, but it's just like, Laurie Strode is not that stupid, even though that she supposedly made a mistake in H2O. Yeah, bullshit on that there. Number 6 is going to be a character named Bill. He's another guy that's actually in the Myers house here with this reality show. So he actually ends up in this bathroom area, and he starts talking about, I'm going to get her back. She tricked me, Jenna, and I'm going to get her back. Michael Myers' head comes right through this mirror here, and he's struggling with this guy, and the guy's trying to escape, and Michael Myers stabs this guy, I believe, in the chest area, and then the final blow, and he ends up stabbing him again in the top of the head there and takes him out. Again, nothing really to write home about with a lot of these deaths personally here. Number 5 is going to be Willie. So after Willie ends up tripping over Franklin's lifeless body because his head's already in the dryer there, he gets himself up, he's screaming, he has the flashlight on the dead body there. Michael Myers is right behind him and slashes his throat, and the guy falls to the ground there. Okay, that's all it really is there. I don't really feel like I have anything else to really say, except it's just, they're not good. A lot of them are not that memorable anyways there. Number 4 is a character named Donna. So you had Donna and Jim at one point. They were making out almost like in the basement area, and we get a wall that starts falling apart there around them, and a bunch of these skeletons come out, and it turns out that they were actually fake skeletons, because something like they were made in Taiwan or something like that. So Jim ends up going upstairs and leaves Donna by herself, and she starts doing the flashlight, thinking maybe somebody's actually down here. So she actually goes, kind of moves the skeletons a little bit, goes into the wall there, and she's looking around, and at one point she sees a half-eaten rat that's somewhat alive, I guess, and then she sees Michael Myers, and she starts running away, and she ends up, kind of like a little gate area there, and she can't really do anything, so Michael Myers grabs her and pretty much impales her with a metal pole through, that goes in her back and through her stomach there. And, that's somewhat okay, I would say, but it's just like another Number 3 is going to be Jim. With Jim, he's actually trying to fight a little bit with Michael Myers. Michael Myers just pretty much comes up to this guy, grabs his head, lifts him up in the air, because at one point they show his legs dangling, and he crushes his head, and you get some blood coming out of his eyes. And I will say, that one is actually decently well done. I will kind of give for especially this one being number 3 here. Number 2 is going to be Rudy. Now you got Rudy in the kitchen, and he is fighting Michael Myers. Rudy has some knives with him. What he actually does is he actually grabs Rudy's both hands, lifts him up in the air, and he's by a door, and shoves both of these knives, I guess, in his stomach area in this door here. So now he's hanging by the door. Michael Myers is kind of looking at him, maybe kind of looking at the camera, tilting his head a little bit. He gets a third knife and stabs right through Rudy's chest area there, goes right through the door. Number 1 is going to be Charlie. Now, Charlie's not even in this movie that much, and surprisingly, he's my number 1 and my favorite death here. So him and Nora are kind of getting into it a little bit about different camera angles and all of that, and he's talking about he went to the same school as Steven Spielberg there. So eventually, Nora decides to not watch the cameras and what Charlie's doing there, and you got Michael Myers. Of course, we get the point of view of him. He's picking up the tripod, and with one of the tripod legs, he ends up sticking it right into this guy's neck, and this is the only one that we really get a decent amount of gore in this. Like I said, with Jim, we get a little bit of blood coming out of his eyes while his head's being crushed there. This is probably where definitely the best money shot, the best where the gore went for this guy. Well, there you guys go. Hopefully you guys actually enjoyed this here, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have yourselves a good one. Bye.